Hi, and welcome to the live Q&A for how to become a freight dispatcher. Thank you guys for joining me. Let me make sure my camera is doing what it's supposed to do. It was just fine. You know how it goes. Okay, looks like it's pretty decent. So, hi guys, thank you so much for joining. I am your host, Nina Stiles, and I am also the founder and CEO of TLC Dispatching Academy. So the idea, and those of you who have already, you've registered, some of you may join the live and you didn't necessarily register. You may have stumbled upon my page and this live, and that's great too. Because the primary objective behind this live Q&A is to just tackle a lot of questions that I have found to be frequently asked questions by people who are interested in taking my course or actually even interested in taking a private class with me, which I'll dive into a little bit later on into this live Q&A. So it is a live Q&A. It's kind of a slash webinar. So I want to kind of give you a little piece by piece of who I am, a little bit about the company, my background, and then we'll dive into the live Q&A. So let me go to the agenda. So let me go here. So today's agenda, I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to talk about the company as a whole, and so that you can identify, what to expect with TLC Dispatching Academy. What is this company? What do they do? And then I'll give you a little bit of background with me as the instructor and course creator. And then we'll dive into, the details on what my course entails. So I'll give you just actually a breakdown of what the syllabus includes so that you can you'll get a chance to see exactly what you can anticipate and expect during the course and even after graduating. And I say graduating because yes, you get a certificate of completion when you take my course. And then we'll dive into live Q&A. And so by that point, I'm hoping more people will have joined. I've got a decent amount of registration, so that is awesome. So just, that'll give you guys some time to kind of join in and bring up your questions so that I can read them. I'm going to, full disclaimer, I've got, I don't have my readers on right now, so I'm going to probably squint to kind of see some of your questions, but we'll get it done. And then once the live Q&A portion has been completed, then I'll give you a breakdown of what the enrollment process will look like, and then give you my contact information so that we can connect, and then we'll close. Okay. All right. So all right. So the first thing, what is TLC Dispatching Academy? And so this outline, the paragraphs that you see before you are actually plastered on my homepage, my company's website of TLC Dispatching. Actually, it's tlcdispatching.com. So it's www.tlcdispatching.com. And so just to give you a breakdown, TLC Dispatching Academy is more than your ordinary dispatching learning center. Me, as the founder, I have a passion for customer service, for service, period. And I have years in the logistics industry and an in-depth understanding of what it means to be the lifeline for our internal customers and our external customers. And as the course creator, because I created these courses myself, and I based them, and I'm just going to be fully transparent because I think that that's what a lot of you guys are really looking forward to or looking to get in today's live, is that I took this course and I made it based off of my work that I did as a freight dispatcher myself. All of the highs and the lows, right? The things that went well, the things that I could have done better. And I know that other novice or aspiring freight dispatchers would want to know. Those things are packed into this course. And so I had you in mind when I created, because that's typically what people who teach does, right? I mean, we create courses because we know the pain points. We know what's going to make you successful. We know what you're going to need. We can trim off the fat and the stuff you don't need to just nail it and get to the primary focus. We create the courses that way, and that is, I am no exception. That's what I did with the courses. And so rather than read word for word for each paragraph, again, this is plastered on the home page of my website. So feel free to check that out. And just, if you have any other questions outside of what has been shared in today's live, please feel free to contact me. I will leave my email address so that you can contact me. And then the social media handles were typically just to keep up to date with anything that's new that I've got out to the public to kind of share with everybody. Okay. And then my background. So as I mentioned, as considering I am the founder and CEO of TLC Dispatching, of course, obviously giving you the background is listed on the homepage. But if I want to dive a little bit deeper, I started in the logistics industry in 2012. And then I started my own company around 2019, being a solo entrepreneur and, developing my company from the ground up. I did what a lot of people do. What you guys are well familiar with is going to the YouTube University, right? University of YouTube. So I had to scrape and find information everywhere to kind of build the company and build, this role that was ideally aimed to be successful, and not just the work that I did, but also making sure my carriers are taken care of fully. As I mentioned on the homepage of my website, I've got a passion for service. And to be quite honest with you, my logistics background wasn't in depth with freight dispatching. I mean, it was a lot of the back office work, which was beneficial, but I did not know a lot about the freight dispatching. And so my drivers, when I took care of them, they were very happy with the work that I did. And it wasn't because I was a guru at freight dispatching. So I kind of want to give you that nugget, so you don't have to have this perception like, oh, am I going to be able to do it? I don't have any history in that. Or is this course going to be enough for me? Things of that sort. I mean, I'm giving you all of what I've gained. Like I said, the good and the bad. As far as the bad, I'll teach you what not to do. But my main focus and why I was good at it was because I love service. I love taking care of people. But more so, God has led me into the direction of going further into my passion. My passion is coaching and teaching. So although I enjoy serving others in the service capacity and taking care of my drivers, I have more of a passion for coaching and teaching people, which is why I converted the company into a actual learning center. And it was just great because it's not like I built it based off of the books that I read, or I took the knowledge that I gained from YouTube and then said, okay, I'm going to start a learning center. No, that's not what I did. I actually got rolled my sleeves up and got fully invested into the business and doing it myself, making mistakes and coming away with some pretty, some good kudos on the end, right? Because if your customer or your carrier is happy and your brokers are happy and any other partner that you work with are very happy, then you're doing a good job. So that's it as a whole, as far as me, the instructor. So let's go into, what's inside the course. So what you can look for, and this is pretty much, guys, the syllabus. It's just bulleted here in this framework, but this is pretty much the syllabus for the most part. So, I've got it broken down into modules, and they are 4 different modules. The first module is your everyday tools for success. So I give you all of the details, all of the specifics, and I direct you to where you'll need to go in order to gain your resources, so that you can, get yourself acclimated and become well, resourced, or resourceful with your business. You've got your laptop, you've got your website, you've got your email, you've got, and then there's other tools you're going to need in order to process documents on the back end. And I'll go a little further into that. So then you've got your common terminology. I've had some students that had some experience in the logistics industry, so some of the terminology they were familiar with. I've had students who have never had any experience in it, and so it was very beneficial. So either way, you're equipped with that, and that also includes different truck types as well. This isn't an exhaustive list, though. I want to be clear on that. But what it does, it gives you the primary terms that you're going to need on a daily basis, and probably a lot and more than that too, but the primary terms are in there. All right. And then I teach you about understanding the role of a freight dispatcher and where and how to search for carriers. That is key, because I can teach you how to be a freight dispatcher, right? I can show you, here's what a load board is, and here's how to search for your loads, and here's how to identify favorable loads for your carriers. I can go through those details, right? But it's a difference if you get that whole outline of instructions, and then you walk away and you say, okay, now how do I get my carriers? No, I teach you how to get your carriers. And not only do I teach you how to locate the carriers, I also teach you how to pitch your services, how to solicit your services to the carrier, and what to say. I have a golden script that is just, it's great, and I used it, and it's found success for a lot of my graduates as well. And then how to sign carriers up with your dispatch company. So I give you step-by-step instructions on how to upload your contracts, and send them out electronically to your carriers. And another point, one would say, okay, where do I get those contracts? Do I have to find them somewhere else? No, that's part of the course. I give you the documents that you need, every paperwork. You do not need to come to my course with anything, or my class with anything other than a laptop, camera, so that we can see one another and correspond. Your laptop, internet access, right? Your basics in a notebook. But as far as the actual curriculum, the training manual, I provide that to you. Any documents that you're going to need in order to perform the role, I provide those things to you. So you're set with that. And then understanding the load board and how to use it. So that's the basics. I kind of like to look at that as understanding the load board and how to use it one-on-one. What is this software? What is this platform that I'm looking at? Okay, these are the loads. Okay, this is how to kind of order it to a filtered process to lay out the type of loads that I'm specifically looking for, right? You can get it set up so that you can specifically pull out the loads that you're looking at or looking for based on a specific criteria, right? So that's the basics, just looking for the loads, identifying the ideal loads, looking at the prices, doing your basic calculation to determine, is this price right? How far do I have to go in order to really, get that broker to get me the price that we're looking for? Those things. So that's the basics. And then how to hunt for loads strategically. Well, now we're getting a little bit deeper, because I go pretty deep into how to be how to have a framework that ensures that you are strategic when you're searching for the loads. You are not just, let's just say you have a driver who has a 26 straight box truck. So if he has a 26-foot straight box truck and you know that he can probably scale up to around 10,000 pounds, then, yeah, I mean, you can look for some loads that are up to around 10,000 pounds and kind of get them filled up if it's in the ideal location and where it's going to, if it's going to an ideal location for the drop off as well. But it's another thing to say, okay, well, this load is in a really good area. It looks favorable. It's ready now, but it's only 6,000 pounds. I'll show you how to add to the load and kind of look at the deadhead and I know that I'm kicking out some terms that probably are unfamiliar, but that's part of the things that I'm going to teach you as well. So I kind of want to, I'm basically stating these things so that you can get an idea that it's in depth, right? I'm really showing you not just how to do the basics. I teach you how to be strategic and to come away with a framework that works, that effectively works. And then how to contact a broker and inquire about a load and how to negotiate for best rates. I teach you strategic ways on how to kind of get that broker up on his price, because the ideal focus is that if you can get the best price for your carrier, then depending on how you're going to be charging them, a lot of dispatchers are charging percentages rather than a flat rate. Then the more he makes, the more you make, right? All right. So now I'm going to open it up for live Q&A. We're at I told you guys I'm kind of squinting. Now we're at around 5:19. So I should have a decent amount of questions here. So let's just see. Let's see. Sorry, guys. System's going a little slow. All right. So one of which I know that is a common question, how long is the course? The course, I know that some, depending on your schedule, it can vary. It's always a total of 14 hours, but it can divvy up the way that works best for you. So that being said, I can do a 2-hour increment once a week for 7 weeks. So that would collect and calculate your total of 14 hours for the course. I have a couple of students that are signed up for a private Q&A. I'm sorry, private class. And the private class that we're actually doing, they've got it spread out throughout certain days. And so that may work for you. So it actually all depends on your schedule. And I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that as well. So as a whole, the course is 14 hours complete. And so some people will ask whether or not if they need to have a laptop or desktop for the class. And I always let them know, like, it can be either or, just long as it has a camera that's embedded in the laptop or desktop. So it can be either one. One of my students had asked if they can use a tablet. I wouldn't recommend. One of my students tried to do that. It just did not work for them. It did not work for them. So they went ahead and I think borrowed someone's laptop or desktop and finished out the course that way. But again, a laptop or desktop is going to be your best bet. As far as the group class collectively, what I have available, I have an ongoing schedule. Um, I am looking into having October. I'm not quite certain yet, but I am going to include my contact information so that you can keep up to date on any of my upcoming courses that are going to be available. So if there's a schedule that's going to work for you and you kind of like the idea of being in around more students to kind of bounce off some ideas, some thoughts, and that whole camaraderie thing that typically we like to enjoy to be a part of and experience. So if that's your kind of your thing and you want to do it that way, then keep an eye out with any updates that I have coming up for either next month or any other month that I'm going to have for the course schedule. Another thing too, I have what's available on Teachable. That is actually a digital course that is available. So if you're not really interested in taking the group course where it's filled with other students, and you're not necessarily interested in doing the private as well, you kind of want to do the digital format and that works best for you simply because your schedule, I've had students who inquired about the class and they are in the medical field and their schedule is like crazy, right? Their availability is probably like 11 o'clock at night, right? And that's when everyone's sleep in the house, but that's when they're up and available to actually tackle some things that they want to tackle. So the digital course is actually ideal for them, and so they can go to Teachable, and I'll also include that link so that you can have that and set up and actually register and enroll in the course that way. So the Teachable digital course, that is at your own pace. You don't have to worry about meeting with me at a particular time. It just works best for some people who want to go at their own pace. They're not on a time crunch to get it done. They can get their certificate and complete it at the end. And so that way they can walk away having the information that they need, but at their own pace. That's a good question. So, and this is the actual common question: how much can you make um, starting out? So it all varies. It all depends. I would say when I first started, I wouldn't say very, very first started. Like my first load that my carrier did, I think he had like a 50-foot or 53-foot. Yeah, he had a 53-foot flatbed. Um, and I think he made about $3,000 on that load. And at the time I was charging only 8%. But that was a while ago. The common percentage that you want to typically charge is around 10 to 15%, right, for each load. So let's just say if your driver, if you booked a load for him and it was a $3,000 load and you're charging 10%, then you just made $300 on that load, right? And so you kind of want to look at that. And then you say, all right, well, how many drivers do I need to have in order to reach a particular number I'm shooting for? Because if you just if you want to make, let's just say $1,000 a week for one driver, then he needs to at least accumulate 10,000 pounds or $10,000 worth of loads by the end of the week, right? So, and which is not really hard to do, because if he makes $2,000 every day, Monday through Friday, that reaches him, that, brings them to $10,000 by the end of the week. So that's $10,000. 10% of that is $1,000. That's just one driver. So if one driver makes $2,000 Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and you charge him 10% for that $10,000 that you booked for him through that week, you made $1,000 for that one driver. Get another driver, and now you're doubling up to $2,000 for that week. And then you can probably get, it all depends on your comfort level. With starting out, a lot of people don't want to kind of overwhelm themselves. So they want to get a driver that, or at least an accumulated amount of drivers that's not going to have them, like I said, overwhelm, pulling your hair out. So I would recommend probably to start off with your first driver, get him where you're keeping him rolling Monday through Friday. Once you've gotten that down pat, you understand his style, what he likes, the type of loads, the areas he likes to pick up in, and the areas where he likes to deliver to. Once you get those things under your belt and you've kind of mastered that, then I would go ahead and start exploring about getting your next driver. And then working with the next driver, learning him, right? And then once you get to a place where you've got them pretty much under control, then it's time to get your next driver, right? And so I would say, as a brand new, like someone that's novice, that's been in it for at least 6 months or so, I would say you're comfortable max maybe around 3 to 5 drivers, probably, or 4 to 5 drivers. So if you're saying 4 to 5 drivers, right? 5 drivers that are accumulating $10,000 a week, right? That's $50,000 for all of your drivers collectively. So, and if you're charging 10% of that, right, then that's $5,000. Right. But again, I don't want your eyes to kind of pop out and think this is a gradual process that I'm kind of informing you of. You're going to start off with one driver, understanding what his expectations are, and being clear about your expectations too, right? You've got to generate money as well. I'll tell you one thing that was a kind of funny story for me. One of my first carriers that I signed up, I was excited. I hadn't had, I was send out a couple of contracts, and a couple of them that I sent out weren't getting electronically signed. So I got this one. And so she's like, yeah, I'll work with you. Absolutely. And during our conversation, she says, but I would just want to let you know, there's about 20 states that I do not travel to. And so with me being brand new, I'm like, okay, that's not a problem. That's no issue. But lo and behold, it actually ended up being an issue because, out of the 48 states, you're only going to 20. that only leaves me to around 28 states, for me to work with. And so I might find you a load that's in a state that you'll pull and pick a load up out of, but it may be delivering to a location, a state that you're not willing to travel to. So it puts you in a bind. So keep that in mind as well, right? You just want to keep some things in perspective, knowing that, listen, I've got to generate some money too, and it will make it very difficult for me to be in a position where I'm booking loads for someone who is cherry picking where they want to pick up the load and deliver it to. You kind of want somebody that's open, that does over the road, long hauls. Even if it's local, you kind of want them um, to be, accommodating to an extent. Um, is it hard to get drivers? No, I don't think that I wouldn't say it's hard to get drivers at all. The script that I give you and the process that I give you, it's not hard at all. I show you exactly who has MCs, who have active MCs. So I take you through the process on not only locating the drivers that have MCs meaning motor carrier certifications. They have their authority, their owner operators. So their motor carrier um, certification or their motor carrier number. I teach you how to validate that, or at least to check to see if it's valid, to see if it's active or not. And then we check some other things as well. Once we check those things to make sure that they're up to par, meaning that carrier is up to par, then I have a script for you to call and speak to the driver and let them know, hey, this is Nina with TLC Dispatching. I was calling, and we're checking to see, whether or not where they stand, if they're, where they're located, what type of equipment that they have. That's key, because some equipment that's out there, you might not necessarily want to work with. There's some hard work that's involved when you are trying to book a load for someone who has small equipment that has a capacity that reaches only around 3,000 or 4,000 pounds. It makes it very difficult for you because there's a load board that has a plethora of loads that are available. And to limit yourself by only looking for loads that can only go up to 3,000 or 4,000 pounds, that's going to put you in a disadvantage, right? And that's just being candid with you. So, but as far as locating the drivers, it's not difficult. As far as getting them signed up, not at all, not difficult. It's not difficult because I give you step-by-step instructions on what to do and how to do it. Okay. See if there's some more questions too. And then I want to think about some other common questions that a lot of people ask. And I had spoken to someone recently, and she was just saying that there were just a lot of freight dispatchers, or a lot of, I should say, freight dispatch teachers, course creators in this industry that are unfamiliar with the industry. They've never done it before, but yet they're teaching it. And they're teaching it in a way that is kind of like a third party type of method, right? It's like they get the course from someone else and then they say, yeah, I have it available. And then they have the person watch it. The problem with that is that if there are any probed questions related to that video, if that person is inexperienced and has no background in it, they can't even answer the questions to give you a legitimate answer or valid or thorough answer. I'm not going to say that I know every single thing, but it's beneficial to have a course being taught and provided by someone who's actually done the work. So these are some really good questions, guys. And then the price of the course kind of varies. So the course that is on Teachable, I'm gonna lower that here shortly. I'm gonna make some edits and update that as well, but I'm gonna offer a lower rate on that. I'm gonna also include a link for you to go directly to it, and you'll have the breakdown of what that syllabus looks like as well. But that mainly, and the idea behind that is because, you don't have where you're going to have me in front of you with the digital course. The benefit with the digital course is that you take it at your own pace, right? So you're doing it at your own pace. You don't have a stringent timeline that you're trying to stick to in order to get it done. So that's going to be a little bit lower. When you're taking the class with me, it will be a little bit higher because you're having me actually feed you the information, and I'm available to make sure that I'm holding your hand along the way in the course. Oh, good questions. First question that or I'll say the latest question that came in. Does it cost a lot to get started outside of the course? There is not. That is one of the great things about being a freight dispatcher, and that kind of puts me in position to kind of talk about another common question that people ask. They say, yeah, I want to be a freight dispatcher. I really want to be a broker, but ideally, I'm going to just start off to be a freight dispatcher first. And that's great if that's your goal, right? But the overhead cost as a freight dispatcher, it is minimum. The thing about being a freight dispatcher is that all you need to do is get your LLC, get that established, get your email established, and have a laptop, internet, cell phone, and that's pretty much it. And in some cases, you may want a printer. I don't think I ever really used a printer. Right. And so that is the lowest overhead cost. So you can kind of calculate that in your head, right? You need your laptop or desktop. One of my students has, he's got two monitors on his desk. And so he's working from that capacity. And he also has like a headset so that he can take calls that way. I mean, but he's just like went in with both feet in, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can do that as well. But if you're talking about you want to eliminate extended overhead cost, then the best bet is to kind of probably merge in with the bare minimums by having your laptop or desktop, having your internet connection, having an email. I prefer to have an email that matches my company's name for the sake of being, the look of professionalism. Website, social media account for sure, because you want to market yourself, right? So those are the costs that it will take for you to establish your business. And again, like I said, LLC, right? So depending on what state you're in, the state of Ohio, I think to get your LLC is like 99 or 125 bucks, one of the two, right? And then if you already have a laptop, you already have internet service. Most people do. So that gives you an idea for that. And then another question is it better to work for a company or for yourself? And then I kind of like to have the person who's taking the course make that judgment, because it's beneficial for some students where I've given them a certificate and they've taken that certificate to a company, and that gives them an advantage to let them know that the company, meaning the company and looks at the applicant and says, you know, this person invested in themselves and they actually know what to do in order to do the role that we're asking them to do, to perform. And they have a legitimate certificate of completion that shows that they did by, you know, a valid company. And so that's beneficial as well. And then if you want to take that experience that you learned from another company and then start your own firm, then great. Some people started right out the door doing it their own thing. And that all depends on if you like working for people. You know, I found it more beneficial working as a solo entrepreneur myself, only because I can take care of my customers the way that I know they need to be taken care of. Sometimes being in a corporate setting, there are policies and procedures that are just beyond, and they're created by people who've either never done the work or they just don't understand what it looks like to be in your shoes or even in the carrier shoes. So they create policy and procedures that just aren't conducive to you or the carrier, right? And so, but you have to work around that, and it's just difficult. And then, you know, there's a little bit more flexibility when you are working for yourself. You create your own schedule, although I would recommend to stick with a hours of operation that matches the hours of operation for your average broker that's out there, which is typically 8 to 5. But, you know, you have that flexibility too. You know, if you've got kids at home and working from home, you've got that. That's an advantage. A lot of people are enjoying that as a benefit, as a perk. So just keep those things in mind. So yeah, I mean, these are great questions, guys. And so just keeping in mind those factors that come into play with starting your own company. I mean, there are, you know, there are added responsibilities that come into play as a business owner. So you do want to consider those things. But, you know, you've got to kind of weigh your pros and cons and see, you know, what's the trade-off to be my own boss than versus working for someone else. You know, some people say, you know, I'd rather work for someone else, just I don't want the headache of the extra responsibilities. But it depends on the person. These are good questions. And I would say it typically takes I would say for someone who is just starting, what is the time frame to kind of feel like you're acclimated, like you've got it, you think you got it? I would say it takes about a couple months for you to get to a place where, you know, and that's not a long time, just a couple of months to kind of feel like, okay, I've got this. And honestly, that is one of the great things. It's going to happen in such a quick way that you won't even realize it. You'll come across new milestones that you're trying to accomplish. And, you know, I've told a lot of my graduates, like, look, I mean, you came in the door not even knowing what you know now. You're actually performing the role. You know, you're an official freight dispatcher. Now you're trying to, your next milestone is, you know, how do I get specific type of drivers that are out there? You know, some dispatchers that graduate, they start finding themselves that they're wanting to niche down to just power only, or niche down to just flatbeds, or just hot shots, which are common carriers to dispatch for, hot shots. And I teach you how to do that as well. And another thing too, I want to also let you guys know that even after you graduate, you have full on access to me. I mean, the lifeline to connect to me doesn't end, right? I mean, even after you get your certificate of completion, you're considered an alumni for TLC Dispatching Academy. So after you graduate, you know, you still have me at your fingertips. You can still email me, you know, call, and some text, right? To kind of get some feedback from me or ask questions, or, just kind of go from there. And I also have an opportunity for you to have private one-on-one coaching sessions. So even after you graduate, and this was a big thing, any one of you who have joined earlier on in this live, I mentioned that I created this course based on my own experience as a freight dispatcher. And one of the things that I experienced was after I knew the role, I knew exactly how to perform the role, but I needed someone that was, someone that's experienced, that's been in it for quite a while, kind of like a mentor, not an in-depth mentor that would guide me day in and day out. I didn't need that. I just needed someone that knows the business, knows the world of freight dispatching, and I can go to them to help me tackle something in my role and in my business. That was difficult. That was hard. I remember finding someone online, and I connected with him, and I booked him. I think his booking was like $55 for an hour. And honestly, we chatted, we talked about like 15 minutes, which was fine because for me, I was generating revenue, but the more so it was like I walked away without getting the insight I needed because, he just wasn't in position to really want to do that. And so that was one of my pain points that I said, I said, I'm going to offer one-on-one coaching for those who graduate, know the role as a freight dispatcher, but they need someone to kind of come in and help them with, hey, Nina, I find myself um, dealing with this type of issue in my business. Have you experienced this? Or, can you help me figure this out? Or, Nina, I've reached capacity now. I'm like at 5 carriers now. And, what should I do? I'm thinking about hiring some sub dispatchers under me. Can you kind of help me crunch numbers and figure out what that looks like? Absolutely. Things like that. Right. And so those are the things that you're going to probably want to consider. And, maybe not those specific things, but there will be some other milestones that you're going to come across, you're going to want to overcome with the guidance of someone who is well familiar with the business, well familiar with the trade, right? And so I offer one-on-one private coaching where and I call it the ad hoc coaching. Ad hoc meaning you get it as you need it. It's not something where you are committed to once a week for 5 or 6 weeks. I mean, that's not what it's for. It's for you to, book a call, and we go on virtually and we tackle something that you need. One of my graduates just needed help with setting up her website, and I helped her find, get a template together, add the content to her website, showed her what to do in order to get her domain and set up, and bam, it's done, right? Another one needed help with their social media account to kind of create the business account, how to, make it look professional, and then also add some content that would be meaty, right? Meaty content that would engage the audience and also speak to the key point that they're trying to make, and also represents the brand that they have. So again, these are new milestones, right? I mean, these are things that will come about, but they happen after you graduate. So those are the things that you definitely just want to keep in mind, and that's also available to you as well with through TLC Dispatching Academy. Okay, guys, you guys had some really, really good questions. Let me know if there's some more questions that we can tackle. Anything else, guys, that you can think of? Yeah, any other questions? I'm trying to think of, okay, let's see. I went the direction of starting to hire sub dispatchers under me because the very thing, the very scenario that I mentioned, where I said, you may, after graduation, you may reach back to me and say, hey, Nina, I'm at like 5 or 10 drivers. I've reached capacity. I'm thinking about getting some sub dispatchers under me. Can you help me crunch some numbers and see how that can look like, or what that would look like? And for me, I went that route and started looking at applicants and having some sub dispatchers, but instead I went the direction of just converting my company into a learning center, because as I mentioned earlier on in the live, that this is my passion. Coaching and teaching is my passion. So I made the decision to take a leap of faith, and rather than just do the stuff that I'm good at, to do the things that I'm passionate about. And so, but I am well familiar of what that can look like for you, what the process and how we can crunch numbers to make sure that you reach your ideal goal, your target number. And how long should you wait? I mean, it all depends on your comfort level. If you feel as though it's been about 6 months, and I think I'm good, or maybe, it's been a year and a half and I think I'm good, I kind of want to start getting some sub dispatchers under me, let's talk. So it all depends on your comfort level. And we can have a coaching session in that scenario. And we'll talk about, we'll crunch some numbers, see what that looks like. And then I can probe you to determine, are you really, really ready? Or can we kind of exercise your work, and perform the work that you're doing a little longer, so that you can really become an expert and master it, and then go from there. All right. Any other questions? We got about 5 minutes left. Good questions, guys. And this live will be, it's being recorded, so it will be saved on my YouTube channel. And so those of you who are unfamiliar with the channel, go check it out. And I'll also, and there's on my website, there's a icon there for you to click on, and it takes you straight to the YouTube. But I'm also, as I'm saying that, I'm thinking that I will also email that to you guys, to those of you who've registered as well. So I'll email you guys the direct link to go to the YouTube channel and check it out. So any of the missed content earlier on in this live, you can watch the replay, catch the replay. Okay, I think we're kind of okay. All right, we talked about the enrollment option, so I'm going to send that information as well. And then here are my hours of operation. As I mentioned, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. There's my email address. Please, please feel free to reach out with any questions. And then there's the website as well. Check to see if there's any other questions. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and close out. Thank you guys so much for joining. It has been such such fun for me, and just to be able to kind of dive deep into some of the primary questions that I've been faced with that often come to me by people who are inquiring about the class and start the class. A lot of common questions. So I wanted to make sure that I answered those questions, but I also wanted to give you guys some insight on who I am. Like I said, there's a lot of people out there that are teaching the course or teaching freight dispatch courses without any background or experience in it. And so, and that's unfortunate. So there's a lot of information that's given to you guys in this live. You guys got the breakdown of what the syllabus looks like, in addition to my contact information if you guys have any questions. Aside from that, that's it. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great evening.